What can I do in my life to fight peacefully for this sense of justice?
Brittany, do you want to take that?
Well, I'm biased.
You're biased?
Yeah.
Well, that's why you're here.
Because the thing about it is that I guess you asked how to fight peacefully. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know, we've been fighting peacefully for decades, yet we're here. I don't know, like, what the goal would be to fight peacefully. You know, like, I don't see us getting far in this fight for equality by being passive-aggressive. I don't see us getting far in this fight for equality by wanting to appeal to the humanity of white people. I don't see us getting far or achieving anything in this fight by being peaceful. Because peaceful to the people that we are appealing to, I mean, it kind of, we're in this cycle of where we're right back where we started from. So I believe that had it not been for those buildings burning in Ferguson, you know, would a lot of conversations that we have been having around race in America be? You know, there have been a lot of conversations about what it means to be Black in America, about marginalized communities or disenfranchised Black folks. There have been a lot of conversations around how far we have to go in America, the reality of it. There have been a lot of conversation around respectability politics and how you shouldn't have to appeal to the humanity of people to be worthy of living. This whole movement has stemmed out of people not being peaceful, you know, so...
But presumably, Brittany, the fact that you are sitting in front of a mic, speaking to people in an audience like this, in a space like this, and you're not out there...
I'm sorry?
Setting fire to buildings. You believe in the value of... You're not...
Go ahead.
So this is where I think, like, language becomes so important. Like, because when people say peaceful, what they're actually trying to say is nonviolent, right? Like, if you want nonviolent means of enacting change. And I would just submit that one, we can sort of idealize that and romanticize it, but revolutions have happened throughout history through violence. And that's not something that you can simply write off as a non-possibility. But also just that I would a few things, that the destruction of property I would not categorize as violent. I would say that this is what revolution looks like. This is what an uprising looks like. This is what it looks like when you have silenced people for so long and you do not pay attention when they're telling you what's wrong. They're going to attack the thing that you hold dear. And then I would just say that I'm kind of sick of the distinction being made between peaceful and non-peaceful protest. A protest by its very nature is disruptive and not peaceful.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Our speech against this system by nature is not peaceful, no matter what the kind words that we use are or not. But when I am talking about white supremacy, when I'm talking about an end to global oppression, that is not peaceful, because I'm not seeking to be peaceful. I'm seeking to make you uncomfortable and to make you and to shake you to your core, to make you understand that the humanity of people is at stake. That is not peaceful, and I don't want to be. I'm seeking peace at the end of this. I'm seeking equality and freedom at the end of this. But what I know is that to submit to the language of the oppressor telling me that the best way to go about this is to be peaceful is to surrender, is to surrender my idea of freedom. And I will not allow that to define what this movement looks like.
And I think it's important to say that while I'm, yes, I'm sitting here in front of this microphone and I'm able to talk to you about racism in America. And I find people in my professional circle being very shocked by, yes, I was also standing in front of that burning building. Mm-hmm. I was there. I was also out there screaming, FTP. I was there. I was angry. I was one of those enraged Black people. I am one of those people that will shut down an entire interstate and no one gets anywhere. Mm-hmm. Because my Black rage is not me flipping over chairs in this audience right now does not mean that I am not angry. My patience is being tried by even having to describe what it means to be peaceful.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I don't know.
Well, one thing is, I just want to say amen to everything that's just been said right now. And I really don't want to get engaged and draw this distinction between the peaceful protesters and those burning buildings. I really think that's played out, and that reinforces white supremacy. We need to stop with that BS. But to your question of what can you do, I think one of the things you could do is to stop caring what people think about you. One thing you can do is to read about the experiences of women who, for centuries, have fought oppression. And they didn't do that by caring if someone was going to call them not peaceful. Your very words speaking against oppression are interpreted as violence by those who are protected by that oppression. And so you need some thick skin. And you also need to build in community. You can't do it alone. Yeah. You cannot do this work alone. And you need to be in community with people who share your values. You need to read. I tell my students, I tell anyone who will listen to me, you need to read. Because we need to read the history of people who have mobilized against oppression. And because we're not inventing the wheel here. This has been done for a long time. And to the question about peace, I mean, listen, how do you think this country got here? How do you think any nation was established? Do you think it was people holding hands singing Kumbaya? We live in countries, everyone in the world lives in nations that were founded on violence. And I don't have a romanticized idea of what happens after revolution either, because we often see that that also brings in new forms of violence. For me, peace is not in politics. Politics is struggle. Don't look for peace there. For me, peace is internal. And I don't even have peace internally half the time either, because I'm seeing the violence around me and it affects me. It doesn't just enrage me. There are no words for what it does to me. But I would say building community, read about the struggle, and don't care so much about what people think about you.
Yeah, and if I could briefly, just to actually answer the question. You say, what can I do? What do you do? You know, I'm a writer. That's what I do. Like, people invite me to come talk in front of that. Like, that's the thing. Like, we all have to utilize whatever talents we have at our disposal towards this goal of justice and freedom. And I think that, you know, if you make music, like, you make the music. If you paint, that's what you do. Yeah. If you have the ability to become a politician, like, if that's something that's your skill set speaks to, that's what you do. You do whatever it is that you have within your power, within your capabilities, with all of these principles at the center.
Yeah.
And may I add something? Even if you try to be peaceful, for example, Arun mentioned the Yabon Awards, the ceremony that we hosted to reward the worst racist sentences authored by public personalities. Even that in France is now perceived as aggressive. Yeah. It's a very funny ceremony on stage with comedians, but people who are actually receiving the prizes, some of them wanted to sue us. We have been labeled like radicals because trying to address racism is always seen as something disruptive and aggressive, because it moves, the structural order. So whenever you want to be peaceful, to be calm, to be nice, you won't be perceived as nice, because the society is designed in order not to allow this kind of statement to emerge.